Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
Rob, this time you've actually worked out the correct number to ring on the phone, and we normally say at this point we usually make some disparaging comment about Josh Barnes, but since he's not listening today, we won't.
No, we went and got his boss instead, editor of the sports section of the Geelong Advertiser, Alex Oates. Good morning.
Morning, thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, and it's nice to hopefully get a bit of guff on young Barnesy, who's gone away camping for the weekend. Is this part of his contract? Is he allowed to do this?
No, and I'm disgusted by his attitude. And no, in all seriousness, I didn't even know he'd gone away camping because I'd completely forgotten all about that until you've just mentioned it now. He mentioned that he was going away for a few days, and I said, no worries at all. We'll struggle away without you, but yeah, half his luck, I reckon.
Now, I don't wish to hold a gun to your head to a degree, but we're pretty proud of our young boy Barnesy. I've known him since he was 10 or 12 years old, and always showed an inkling in wanting to be a good sports writer once he realised he was no good at playing the game. How's he coming along in all seriousness?
Very, very well. I've been incredibly proud of the way Josh has gone. I don't know if Josh has probably told you, but he had a lot of hits and, well, a lot of misses, I should say, with in terms of his journalism career early days. He applied for a couple of jobs with us and got right down to the last couple and narrowly missed, I think, on a couple of occasions, and was quite disappointed and thought that the boat might have sailed, but another opportunity arose and he grabbed it with both hands, and he's absolutely excelled, particularly during that COVID year when we lost a few staff members and numbers were dwindling, and he came in and really had to take a lot of responsibility and lead from the front, and I thought it was a lot to rest upon some young shoulders, but he acted like a man who was 10 years more his senior. He absolutely ripped it apart. I mean, we last year, for the listeners who don't know, we had a situation where we had to basically throw him on a plane, send him to Queensland to cover the AFL season. He was going up there for a minimum of 3 months. He was going to be in quarantine for 2 weeks and then forced to basically just go up there on his own with no chance to come back to see his family. If COVID got any worse, he was going to be stranded up there. He was going to be away from his partner. The worst thing about it for him too is he just had a settlement on a new house, and him and his partner were moving in. He had to drop all those plans and go up and cover the AFL, and he was extraordinary. He did everything that was asked of him and more. He pretty much worked 7 days a week while he was up there, because, I mean, what else were they allowed to do? They weren't allowed to go anywhere else, and he's just absolutely delivered in spades for the Geelong Advertiser, and he did a lot of work for the Herald Sun while he was up there, and his name is well and truly in the circles up there as well, because they've been impressed with him as well. So yeah, all round he's been outstanding.
Yeah, well, the other thing for a young journo, whether it's Barnesy or anybody else, to be basically stuck in a place for 3 months with some of the biggest names in sports journalism, and of course the big names in the AFL, must have been awesome for his development, but also, I guess, the fact that he's now built a range of connections that otherwise wouldn't have been the case, which is also great news for the Addy, you would think. Well,
that's right. He's built up a really good rapport with a lot of senior journalists. I know Nick Wade, who was his boss previously, he was up there, and Michael Stevens from Channel 7 was there, John Ralph. Just a lot of incredibly experienced and highly regarded journalists he was basically waxing with every day. I think he was getting around with Shane Hope, Courtney Walsh from The Australian, Sam Landsberger from the Herald Sun. So and I mean his quality of work was honestly right up there with those guys throughout the whole time he was there.
We were a little disappointed when we chatted to him, because we chat to him, as you know, at this time every Saturday morning, and we asked him some of the best journalists that he's been able to work with in the last 12 months. Do you reckon either of us got a chance to get a list, go on the list? No mention of Rob Cameron, Neil Butler, none at all.
No, very disappointing.
Ordinary.
Yeah, that's probably why he won't get back on the radio.
Yeah, that's right. So, how are you enjoying your new gig on a Saturday morning?
Very good.
What's going on in the world of sport in Geelong that we need to know about? Disappointing result last night.
Yeah, very disappointing. I must admit, I sort of finished my shift and I live down in Manor Lakes, Werribee way, so I hit the road and I didn't get back until I think it was half time. I flicked the tally on and it was 6-0, and your heart sinks for the girls, because I mean this was probably their first opportunity to even win a game, and they were hammered. So I don't know where to next for them. I think they've still got, Gold Coast to play, and Gold Coast to last or second last. But yeah, they're staring down the barrel of a winless season, the girls, unfortunately.
I think we obviously know the girls a bit through the stuff we do with GoFooty.live and the broadcasting of the VFLW games throughout the last couple of years. And one of the things that I think is noticeable is that, you take out Kate Darby, who's arguably their most experienced and target forward. You take out Mel Hickey from the back line. You take out Beck Goring, who played her first game, I think, last night. You take out Anna Teague. There's been a bit of seriously senior thinking taken out of that team. I reckon that's had a bit of an impact.
Absolutely. They're very inexperienced. Yes, they've got a lot of talent, but I reckon, I suppose Paul Hood would probably dispute it, I don't know, but I reckon they're 2 years behind in development in comparison to the other sides, and that's a big divide when you're playing other teams. Like, you've got some hardened bodies and some experienced heads there, and thing is they've just got to hold this group together and persevere with them, and they will eventually find their feet. I think I read the story that I reckon Lockie Young wrote for us during the week, speaking to Danielle Higgins, and she said pretty much exactly that it's a bit of short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah. Alex, just changing tack, the way news is delivered, we had a chat during the week about the change of people going to the newsstand and buying a newspaper. It's very much quick flick online sort of stuff. How much, and you've been in the industry 12, 15 years, so you've seen this change coming. Do you think you guys have been prepared and read the change well and have adapted quick enough, or has it surprised you a little bit?
I think we've adapted really well, but I also feel that it's even surprised me how quickly it has shifted. Like, I mean, there's still a lot of people buying newspapers out there. There's still that older generation, I suppose. Like even me, I'm 36 years of age, but I still like to buy paper and flick through it. But I reckon anyone sort of north of my age would just not buy paper anymore, and that's just the way of the world, I suppose. It's everyone's got basically a tablet or a phone where they can just grab it and get their news in a hit. And the thing that we've found, it's a bit hard to change the stigma around having to pay subscription service. Like, I'm even having to have multiple conversations at my local cricket club at Little River on a daily basis where they say, "Oh, I noticed you wrote a story about us, but I couldn't bloody read it." And I always say, "Well, don't be a tight, blah blah blah.
Wad.
Why don't you support your colleague and support the media industry? Because I mean, we've got to make money, and if people aren't buying our newspapers, or not as much as they used to, we're a business in the end, and we've got to make ends meet. So, it's just tough. But I think the circle's changing, and hopefully people will eventually conform.
The thing I don't get, Alex, is I think, am I right in saying a monthly subscription is about $20? Is that roughly what it is?
Oh, it depends. At the moment, I think they're running with, if you sign up, it's like a we've got a deal that's a dollar to get people involved, but it's hard for me to comment on it because I've never had, and this is what people would probably say, well, it's all right for you to say because you've never had to have a subscription, because my subscription, gets me every newspaper in Australia, and I don't have to pay a cent, so I'm probably not the right person to ask. But, look, it's...
But there'd be a lot of people in Geelong who would buy the Addy, and they would buy the Herald Sun 5 days a week maybe. What's the Addy cost these days to buy?
A couple of bucks. $2.50.
It's just gone up.
Yeah, so they're paying $5 a day.
Yep.
Now I'm slipping.
Even if you just did Monday, Friday for the month, that's
you're talking $125, and yet if you because I've got the same subscription officially, I subscribe to the Herald Sun because I think News Corp's sport is better than any other. There you go. So we got him back another time for saying that. But I don't subscribe to any other newspaper, but because I've got the Herald Sun, I'm a Brisbane Lions supporter, so I've got access to the Courier Mail, and I've got access to the Addy. I mean, I think I'm paying $25 a month or something.
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's just nuts.
I'll put my allegiance and my loyalties completely aside to 1 minute. I always loved the Herald Sun, and I think it's the best paper in Australia. You look at it, and it looks brilliant. They've got, whoever puts their papers together and has done for a long time is outstanding. I look at the Age and the Australian, even though the Australian's another one of our papers, I look at it and I think it looks ugly sometimes. It's very... So if I was to go out, say I didn't work for the Geelong Advertiser and I worked for someone else and I had to go out and buy a paper, I'd buy the Herald Sun before I bought any other newspaper in Australia. If I lived in Geelong, like you say, you'd probably pick up the Addy for your local sport. But I just hope that people continue to support it. I just think we're in a constant shift. We're in a wave where I think we're shifting completely to digital. I think there's always going to be, well, not always, there's going to be a place for papers for now. But if you asked me 20 years ago, could you ever see the day that newspapers would die, I'd say you'd have to be kidding yourself. But just given the pure fact that I think there was about 100 regionals that were put to bed during COVID and will never return, that probably gives you an idea of which way the world's going.
Yeah, I think the other thing too that you might want to have a listen at 10:25 this morning, because we have a segment called The Long Run. I am going to have a crack at the Herald Sun about something, but but I think it's all this whole question of clickbait and getting people to get into the article. I think one of the things I've noticed has changed is back in the old days, you might say, I continue to call him Rodney. What's his name? Dangerfield.
Patrick,
that's him.
you forgot Patrick Dangerfield's name. How well are you going?
Yeah, no, it's been a big day. But it might say Patrick Dangerfield will miss this week with a slight hamstring twinge. Now it says Patrick Dangerfield. We now know the outcome of Patrick Dangerfield's fitness test.
Yeah.
Right, and so you have to click to actually see the answer. My clickbait comment that's coming up at 10:25 is more frivolous and ridiculous than it's in the alleged entertainment section of the newspaper.
Yeah, look, clickbait is something that does frustrate me, but we've also, in our defence, and I'm not sure whether it'll be an answer that's acceptable to you, I suppose, but I sort of turn away from clickbait myself, if I'm honest, but I also know that if you give the reader all the answers they need in that little, I guess, snippet on social media or wherever the person's grabbing it, then they've got no reason to open the story up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly what it is.
I wasn't having a crack about the concept of getting people to click, but when you hear what I say at 10:25.
Yeah.
Alex, I asked this question if we have a announcer, broadcaster on, but I'll ask you the same question. If hypothetical, front row seat writing major article for a newspaper, would you prefer AFL Grand Final, Boxing Day Test, or 100-metre sprint at the Olympics?
Boxing Day Test.
Yeah, you're a cricket man.
Yeah, look, it's the irony of this question. Last night I was just having a conversation with my mates and we were banding this around, and the question around was, what would you rather, kick the winning goal, in the AFL Grand Final for your team at the MCG in front of 100,000 fans, or the alternative would be to make 100 to win an Ashes series against England at the MCG. And I'd pick cricket every day of the week. Like, I'm a massive Collingwood fan. Don't hold that against me.
You seem so normal.
I would love to kick a goal on the MCG and win the Pies a flag, but I reckon bringing up 100 and raising the bat, it'd be. I don't think I could beat it. I've been at the cricket when Aaron Finch has made hundreds, and Aaron and I grew up and went to school together, and our parents are best mates to this day, and the tingles that gives me just watching him do it is nothing I've ever experienced before. And I just think to myself, I wonder what it'd be like to be in Aaron's shoes and make 100. That's the big one for me.
And Alex, you strike me as the sort of guy who would raise your bat rather than doing a dance around the oval like a prima donna.
Oh, you've opened.
Being a purist of the game, like I'm sure you are.
Opened a sore. Alex Oates, we've got to get going because we've got some weather to deliver. But it's an absolute pleasure to have you as part of an honorary bloke for the day. There's something I need to talk to you about. I'll give you a call during the week as well. But great to have you as part of the team this morning.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
There he is, Alex Oates, the sports editor for the Geelong Advertiser.